the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, those tuning in for the public hearing, that starts at 7, which it was posted that way, so we can't start it early. So what we're going to do is some business, as I say, lightning round type business to see if we can get stuff done before we have to stop to start the public hearing at 7. So I'm going to jump all over the place. I'm wondering if the fire chief might come up for this, and I'll give you kind of the introductory thing as I understand it. You tell me if I'm wrong, that you're looking to hire some employees for your department, and typically what we do is we send them out for a physical. Everything's pending the physical, and that takes a little while to come back. But what you're talking about now is if you have some veteran firefighters who've already have the physicals from another department, if we could waive it for them. Is that basically it?
Correct. If the physicals are within 2 years,
Yeah.
there's several departments around here using the town of Newton's physicals.
Mm-hmm. So they'd have paperwork from,
Correct. They would
Where?
require documentation from their physician
yeah,
showing that it's been within, say, 2 years if the board approves it.
yeah. And that'll help you get people in here faster and cover some shifts, right? So,
And the other thing, if possible, is on the background checks. The background checks sometimes take longer. If it's possible to have the police department, the police chief agree.
is he back there? Oh, he's obscured, so,
They'll be able to do the background checks.
yep. What do you think, Chief Jewett? That's fine? So you'd be able to cover that. So what's the board think about kind of putting this in at least as a temporary policy to see how it works?
I think it's a good way to move forward.
Yeah. I think it's called bureaucracy busting is what they say, so let's do that. So anybody want to make a motion with a certain,
I move to authorize the fire chief to substitute a current physical and/or background check from another town in place of the Newton physical and/or background check.
so I'm going to second for discussion. My only change would be with a Newton Police Department background check, right? That's,
Yeah.
makes sense? That
Oh, yeah.
just
yeah.
adding 2 words before you. All right, any discussion?
Matt,
Oh, Charlie's here. Hey, Charlie.
yep. Matt, could you have her repeat it? I could not hear her.
Sure.
She
Go ahead.
was wicked
Lisa.
soft.
Let me repeat it because I think she's having mic problems.
I don't know why. Can you guys hear me?
Not well.
That's better.
Oh, okay. She just made a mask adjustment. Maybe that.
Yeah, I just moved my mask a little bit here. Okay, so the motion was to authorize the chief to hire with new employees with a current fire physical and/or police department background check from another town in place of the Newton physical and/or background check.
Okay, Matt, so if somebody from Kingston comes to work for us and they've had the background check and they've had the physical, we're going to excuse it, correct?
Yes, they just need to provide us documentation showing that they have a current physical and a current background check.
Yeah,
Fire-
that sounds cool.
Fire Chief, were you putting your hand up? You're good? All right, so the only thing I would add to Lisa's motion is within 2 years, right? Is
Well,
correct.
I said current.
One thing Chief Jewett mentioned, we're not going to waive the background check. Instead of doing the current background check, which is an act of Congress, we're going to have Newton Police Department do the background check. So, my opinion, if Newton Police is more than capable of doing a background check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, that's much better.
No matter what, they're still going to have a background check.
Yeah. Okay, Diane, do you have all of that?
Good thing
Need
it's
us-
being recorded.
Right.
All right, so who does the background checks now?
Corey?
State police.
State?
I have to get used to the voice from above.
All right, let me try to redo my motion. How's that? So I move to authorize the chief to hire new employees for the fire department using their current fire department physical and a Newton Police Department background check in lieu of yeah, let me try that again. Now I'm getting confused. Let's try this one more time. I move to authorize the fire chief to hire new fire personnel utilizing a current physical from another town in place of the Newton physical, and to use a background check performed by the Newton Police Department.
Do you want a second? Second. Seconded by Larry. Any discussion?
Yeah, Matt, how do you get their medical from another town?
Chief?
They provide, there's a lot of communities that use the exact same physical that we have adopted. We actually adopted their physical, so I'm not going to say they're using ours. We've adopted their physical, same physician. Career firefighters are required to take a physical prior to getting hired. And we just put, the academy allows physicals, and most departments allow physicals within 2 years of the date. So that's...
John, I don't have a problem with it. What I'm saying is, can we obtain their medical records from another town?
I cannot obtain them, Charlie. The candidate would have to obtain that documentation and provide it to the town of Newton.
Okay.
Did we get a second on my motion?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, you did.
This is Larry. Yeah, and it's in their best interest to do it quickly, so that's the way to...
Now with COVID, it's taken...
Yeah, yeah. All right, any further discussion? All right, I don't have to do a roll call vote because we have a quorum here. So all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Chief, you're in good shape. All right, so let's see. Again, I'm jumping around to see what we can do quick. Perhaps one of my favorites, update on quote for shoveling and sanding at Town Hall and Library.
Well, I sent that to you, and it was, he gave us a quote and answered all your questions, basically.
Yep.
So for the rest of the season, it'd be $3,500 for just the library and the town hall. There is no extra cost if it's less than 2 inches. What other questions did you have? Let's see.
So, you know, I would look at it this way. Well, I'm looking at a couple of different ways. One is we need a Band-Aid right now because it could snow tomorrow. Mike, it's not going to snow tomorrow, right? Okay. So it could snow within the next week, and we need this. It's a liability if we don't have anybody doing this. And two, lost my train of thought there. Two, if I was to vote no to this, I kind of need to propose an alternative. And I don't really have an alternative right now other than to post for a job to see if we could hire somebody to do this as part of their job. But that's not going to necessarily come up with anybody to do it, nor is it going to be all that quick. So anybody have any thoughts from the board on this one?
I do.
Go ahead, Charlie.
How about having Jimmy dog it? I know he's looking for extra hours on the, on the planning board, but, he could do that.
Are you volunteering him, or did he volunteer?
No, I'm volunteering him.
The only thing is we do have a policy that prevents employees from moving into another employee category based on the number of hours that they work. For example, we couldn't have him working enough that would make him a full-time employee based on, say, retirement purposes.
He worked as a selectman and he worked as the administrator for the planning board at the same time.
Selectman is in an elected position, not an employee.
So I'm not sure the numbers would add up to 40, but, you know, what Lisa's talking
No,
about
they wouldn't.
is true. But I hate to consider him without hearing from him. Anybody else have any thoughts?
And we would also need him to, if we were to consider a current town employee per se, then that town employee would have to be able to go to the library as well as town hall and still be able to do their regular functions.
Yeah, I like that. Just throw it out to other employees first.
Okay. What's, Charlie and Kate, what do you think?
Well, I'm not for the 3,500.
Right, I know, I'm sorry if you didn't hear that. The idea was to, before we vote on the 35, would be to put it out to other employees to see if, kind of what you're talking about, but put it out to everybody, Charlie.
Yeah, I just thought, you know, Jim needed the money. I just threw his name out there, that's all.
All right.
Just to clarify, this is, you said, a Band-Aid measure. Again, the newer one. I asked some friends in another town, Selectmen, and they have, this is under their highway department. Some people have their custodians do it. I think we need to revisit this at some point to see if we can spend this money down the line.
I agree with you, Katie.
It seems like an expense that's just costing taxpayers money, and I don't.
Kate, you're mumbling.
Oh, it seems, Charlie agreed with me. You heard me.
All right, so I hear what you're saying. I think we're on the same page. We need a more permanent solution, but, so, when's our next meeting? The,
February 4th?
okay.
Second?
So Mike, who do you need to talk to so it doesn't snow between now and February 2nd? Do you need me to write a letter, or? All right. All right, so we are going to put the word out through all employees to see if somebody would be interested in picking up some extra hours during the winter to do this task.
That might be the most cost-effective way to do it.
Okay, and I would say if we could do that tomorrow, and maybe we can work this in.
Yeah, but I think we need to also discuss what the salary would be. If we do get any interest, we need to discuss the salary for doing it, because quite frankly, an example would be the starting transfer station attendant pay is insufficient for a shoveler.
I think I'd like to hear who's interested, and then see what they
Work
make.
from there.
Charlie?
Yeah, work from there. See who's interested and work from there.
Yeah.
Because you could put $15 an hour on. They said, nah, I don't want that.
Yeah, so, all right, so,
You get somebody that's interested, Matt, and then you negotiate with them.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
yeah, see where that brings us. Everybody
Yeah.
cool with that?
I'm
So,
good with that.
Yep.
Diane, do you have what you need to get the word out?
Yep, we'll just send it to the department heads, and if they have anybody that's interested in, to get in touch with us.
Yeah, and any further questions they have beyond that, we can, once we know they're interested, we can chat, you know, so.
Okay?
And set a deadline for them to get back to you.
You want a deadline? What's
Yeah.
the deadline?
February 2nd. Yeah, so that you hear from them within a reasonable amount of time. We can't have them telling you in March that they're interested.
Sooner the better.
Do you want me to set the deadline?
I would say if you can get that out tomorrow, 7 days is plenty.
Okay?
What do
So
you
you're
guys think?
probably looking at January 26th?
Yep.
Yeah, having them get back to you by January 26th.
Okay?
All right, cool. We'll leave that one. If we could, Mike, what do you think on A, the road agent request from the town of Merrimack? Can we do that one in 10 minutes? I'd love that even more. If you don't mind approaching the bench here.
Do you have the map? Can you put the map up on the screen? Oh, thank you, Diane.
Or high tech.
You guys all looked at this? You know what it's about? You understand the concept?
Yeah, for the public, you might want to give them a quick 2-minute.
All right. So you might go over 5 minutes now.
Oh, God.
So the town of Merrimack, this was not directed from Newton Highway. This was from Merrimack Highway Department. And they're looking to actually make Bear Hill Road their truck route. I had some discussions with the state, and I kind of backed off and put Merrimack in touch with the state because it's a state road to begin with. I was only concerned to make sure that they wasn't going to add additional vehicle traffic to Wentworth and Hadley, but it'll actually should decrease that. Merrimack Road will still be part of the truck route, but they're funneling the truck traffic on 110 down Bear Hill Road. I'm not really in favor of it, but we have no jurisdiction on it. It's a state road. In my conversation, and Chief Jewett and I talked about it prior, that they're looking to put a rotary or some type of change at, Rose Corner. This is just going to add to that flow of traffic. But again, it's a state road, so we don't have a lot of say on it. We can put our input, but they're going to make the call anyhow. And I know they were in touch with each other. Then there was some correspondence, and it seemed like the state was fine. Merrimack just can't put signage up on the New Hampshire part of the state road.
So we would have a similar sign on our side of that road? Meaning Hadley, for example? Would we be putting our
Hadley would have signage on that would be the only place we could put signage.
Okay,
is on
so-
Hadley and Wentworth. We can't put signage
that's
on
what
a
I
state
mean.
road anyhow.
Exactly. So Hadley and Wentworth are our roads.
Right.
So essentially what you're asking is if we can put signage up to that effect. My only question is, and you guys would be the ones who would know this, I seem to remember once we had a meeting in here years ago, and we were talking about changing the speed limit on a road, and we couldn't do that without a public hearing. Do we think this would be a similar issue? Or do we need
No,
to
I'm
get
not
back,
sure.
back
Honestly,
to
I'm not
everybody
sure.
on that?
If signage regarding, because we're actually decreasing the traffic on Hadley and Wentworth. I think if we were increasing it, there may be a case or warranted to have a public hearing, but where we're decreasing it,
But wouldn't that mean we're increasing it on Bear Hill Road?
we're not doing it at all. Bear Hill Road's a state road. We have zero
Oh,
jurisdiction.
Bear Hill Road is a state road.
Yeah, we have zero jurisdiction on Bear Hill Road.
So what
And
would-
Merrimack Road,
what would be
quite
the,
frankly.
if we, because personally, I agree in concept with this. I think, it's a good idea. We should do that. It's really, we have few options in this case, I think, if that's
We
what.
really do.
if
I
they're
don't
doing-
like it particularly because
Yeah.
it's really going to add a fair amount of traffic to Bear Hill Road, but again, we really don't have any say on it.
Yeah, I mean, if they're already doing it, then that's the answer. But can we find out what our power is on this? I forget.
As far
who-
as a town meeting? Having to have
Public
a
hearing,
town meeting?
'cause- yeah, because I think, and I'm going way back, but I remember Chief Streeter was here, and I think it was Chief Streeter who spoke up and said, yeah, and you need to, follow this whole process in order to change a speed limit. So,
Speed limits are definitely,
yeah.
that one's for
I don't know
sure.
if it's in the same category, so.
And then the map's not up again. The only change, and I've already requested it, on their routing, they're showing it being detoured onto Thornell, which is, you know, that was wrong, but that was an oversight by Merrimack. So it won't be going up Thornell, because Thornell is not a truck route.
Right.
Chief,
So it'll have to go Highland.
Chief Jewett was waving back there.
I was just going to say, I think when Chief Schreier was referring to that as a town road,
Yeah, yeah.
with the state thing, I've seen this map floating around for a little bit.
You're going to have to, so people at home can hear you. Yeah.
With Merrimack posting that, I think it's actually Mass DOT.
Yeah.
I believe that's going to be posted on 495. So I'm not overly thrilled about that. You know, with the trucks being posted out there saying that this is not, you see them if you're driving around, you'll see alternative truck route and it'll tell you this way to all points in New Hampshire. So I think that's what we're going to have at the Broad Street exit. We, right now, currently the way that intersection, I probably have a half a dozen a year trucks get stuck in that intersection. I have a feeling that we're going to start getting a few more trucks stuck there because it's not set up for trucks. And I don't think that's on any fault of the state. It's just the way that road was designed. And usually what we have to do is put the truck on the wrong side of the road to make the curve. But I mean, I've lost that intersection for 4 hours at a time every time they get stuck. So hopefully that doesn't increase too much, but like the road agent was saying, I think we're going to lighten up the traffic on Wentworth and Hadley, and I think that was their plan, because I think that was one of their major contentions was the truck traffic going through there. We've got a couple residents in town that call and say, you know, large trucks are going through Wentworth, and I think it's the landscape trucks that are coming through there.
So does anybody on the board, do we want to make a motion on this pending the verification that we don't have to go through other hurdles? Is that what the board, Diane's waving? Diane?
Just the one thing, the town of Merrimack will provide the signage and maintain it, so we do not have to provide any of that.
Perfect.
And we have some kind of agreement that will be signed and dated or whatever?
It's right here, highlighted here. See, it says right here, it says we'll provide and maintain. It's in the letter that they sent us.
Okay.
So,
And is that forever and always?
Matt, if you got a slot for public comment on this one, I'd like to say something.
it sounds like Bob Dismelik, he's a little faint, but I can hear him.
All right, I'll speak loudly if I could just speak for a second. I'm going to try to speak on behalf of those of us who live on Bancroft Road. It looked like in that document from our friends in Merrimack that they take the position that there's less residential impact on Bear Hill and some of these other roads. And I don't think that's necessarily accurate. In other words, if they routed that traffic off of their road and up onto or through their community and up onto Merrimack Road out in front of the police department, there'd actually be less impact to residences in Newton. Probably more in Merrimack, but that's why they're pushing it off on our side. And you know, we get a lot of traffic already on Bear Hill Road, and we get a lot of trucks. And I think the idea that somebody's going to put a sign down on 110 or 495 that says trucks go this way is a really bad idea, because the trucks that are trying to cut through in general, with exception of a few of them that are coming out of the sort of timber processing operation down off of Bear Hill, most of the guys that are going through there are really trying to evade, you know, what might happen if they went up a more traditional route like 95, right? Because they're really, you got to ask where are they going, right? If they wanted to go to 125, they could have driven up 125. If they wanted to go, you know, further north in the state, they could either go up 125 or up across 101. I mean, how many destination points are there for a guy in a large truck on 108 between where they're going to join up in Rose Corner and where? East Kingston, Exeter? I mean, the traffic, it's not local traffic. It's guys that are shortcutting through our community instead of going on major highways like they should be. And you know, why they're doing that, I don't know. You know, their trucks are a little bit overloaded. They don't want to be, you know, they want to be a little less, shall we say, undercover. So I'm not a fan of that at all. I mean, I watch those trucks, and I can assure you that You know, you get guys that are on both sides of the road, they go around 23 Bear Hill and they're right over the yellow line in, you know, in an 18-wheeler. And I think the chief's probably seen some of that. They get stuck at the corner sometimes. It's not, and I know we don't have a legal way to stop it, but it's also not something we should be, you know, waving flags and encouraging, because it's going to lead to more problems. So that's my point from that place. In general, we should not be encouraging trucks to route themselves through what are basically back roads and residential roads anywhere in this area, right? They should be on highways. That's what we build highways for.
So we're kind of running out of time here, at least for picking it up later. We could do that. But, you know, what Bob just said kind of reminded me, a lot of people are going to want to have questions about this. I also think if you're reading this just on the agenda, you're like, you immediately go to, oh my God, I'm going to have hundreds of trucks per day now going by my house, which might not be the case, but that's what people are. So I guess we have to, I'm envisioning a public hearing, I mean,
Me too.
and with people commenting, but I don't know if we have to do that, but I think we need to verify at least. Everybody else on the board okay with at least verifying it and coming back together on this?
Yeah.
I do think we need to hear from the community, at least those that would be affected
Yep.
by this.
Yes.
I also have a couple of questions, such as they're mentioning deterioration on the roads as one of the reasons for excluding trucks. We do have one road, obviously, that connects Merrimack to Newton that they want to exclude. Are we seeing that deterioration that they say they're seeing?
So, again, we're up against the clock. Can either Nancy or Diane, can you reach out to NHMA or somebody like that and see if they've encountered this before, and so we know exactly what we need to do? Is that, all right.
Matt, I'd like to ask the road agent a question, if I could.
If it's a quick question, because I've got to
It's
get
a
us
quick
out
one.
of,
It's real quick.
okay, go ahead, Charlie.
Mike, who put up the no parking sign down there at Wentworth?
Charlie, say that again, I didn't hear you.
Who put up the no parking sign at Wentworth?
We didn't.
There's one down there now.
I don't doubt it, but we didn't put it up, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah, there's one there.
Does that have to do with? I don't know. Right.
Okay, so, Charlie, go ahead.
I was just asking a question for crying
Yeah,
out.
Charlie, I don't know. We can look into it, but I
Okay,
don't know.
Mike, no problem.
Okay, so I'm going to look for a motion to, I guess it would be adjourn?
No, recess.
Recess, sorry.
I move to recess the Selectmen's meeting at 7 PM.
Second.
Seconded by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so everybody still has to stay, though, so don't get excited. Are we indeed a 7 o'clock public hearing, or is it 7:15?
We're 7 and 7:15, right?
There's two public hearings, one at
Okay,
7,
that's what
one
I'm
at
seeing.
7:15.
So the first one, the 7 o'clock one, is on the grant.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to call, it's 7:01? Yeah, 7:01. I'm going to call the public hearing. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, January 18th, 2021, beginning at 7 PM at the Newton Town Hall, 2 Town Hall Road, Newton, New Hampshire, for the following. We're going to take public input on the acceptance of $29,926.46 from the CRF Municipal Aid Gopher Number 1 grant per RSA 3135B 2 through 4. We're going to take public input on the acceptance of $28,156.13 from the CRF Municipal Aid Gopher Number 2 grant per RSA 3135B 2 through 4. And we're going to take public input on the acceptance of $25,244.69 from the CRF Municipal Aid Gopher Number 3 grant per RSA 3135B 2 through 4. And we're going to take public input on the acceptance of $46,400.05 from the CRF First Responder Stipend per grant, RSA 3135B2 through 4. We have previously given notice of this meeting, and there is a Zoom conference number, 929-205-6099, with a meeting ID of 869-075-36632, with a link provided. We have members of the public present in the room and online. I'm sure some folks watching on TV, so at this point, we would welcome comment. We should also say we have some key department heads and stuff here that should be able to answer questions if the board can't answer the question. So do we have any public comment regarding these grants? Or maybe it's better to say, do you guys want to give a general overview of what this is? Because I think the most important thing here is this is money coming in to us, so to the town.
So I can do that. Tricia McCarthy, I'm Deputy EMD. So for the public in TV land, what this is this guidance says that funding can be used to meet payroll expenses for public safety, public health, healthcare, human services, similar employees whose services are substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. So this covered supplies, PPEs, covered our police department and fire department for things they may need. It covered our town hall, our library, our health agent, our welfare agent. For anything that was needed, we were able to put in a certain amount of money. And to clarify, on the Selectmen's public meeting on May 19th, 2020, Selectman Michaels moved to accept and expend unanticipated funds from the Governor's Office for Emergency Relief and Recovery in the amount not to exceed $117,499, second by Gonya. Beryl, Gonya, Michaels, Foot, and Melvin all said aye. So we've already accepted up to, we were approved for $117,499. These, so far, the Gopher 1, 2, and 3 totaled $83,327.28. We're still under review for another $13,257.95, and we're still working on additional grants from November 1st to present. So really, all of this, and although we're having a public hearing, the Attorney General's Office and New Hampshire Municipal said there's no public hearing requirement. We're doing this just so the public will know what we've been able to do and how we've been able to survive, keeping everyone safe, sanitized, and so forth. That's it.
Great. Yeah, this is really just added transparency. And I mean, this is probably as good of an opportunity as any to thank everybody involved in this process, because this pandemic has been expensive for the town, right? Has been for every town. But because we've had the department heads working with EMD to keep track of all these receipts and filling out the applications, we're getting reimbursed for quite a bit. So I think everybody's done a good job keeping up with this, and this means we have money coming back because we had no way of planning for this pandemic. So any other public comment or questions? Or
Is there any public on Zoom?
I didn't hear what she said.
Any public on Zoom?
Yep.
Yep.
Any of them have any comments?
Not that I can see. I see nothing in chat.
anybody in the assembled audience? And we have millions of viewers at home, too, so, millions. Be like American Idol, we should have an 800 number, but...
So if we want to move forward, do we make a motion in a public hearing, or do we have to wait till we get into our selectmen's meeting?
I think we can do it right in this meeting, right? That's typically what we do at the end. So, anybody want to do so for this one?
All right, I will, unless anyone has anything they want to say, I'm going to make a motion, and I move to accept the sum of $29,926.46 from the CRF Municipal Aid Gopher Number 1 grant per RSA 31:35-B, sections 2 through 4.
All right.
Second.
Can I, second for discussion? Do we need a motion for every single line item on
You
here?
just do the total.
One is a different Gopher
172,000.
grant number, so that's why I did it individually.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
I move to accept the sum of $28,156.13 from the CRF Municipal Aid Gopher Number 2 grant per RSA 31:35-B, sections 2 through 4.
Second.
Seconded by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds unanimous.
I move to accept the sum of $25,244.69 from the CRF Municipal Aid Gopher Number 3 grant per RSA 31:35-B, sections 2 through 4.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Kate,
Aye.
were you and I?
She's on mute.
Aye.
All right. Last one.
I move to accept the sum of $46,400.05 from the CRF First Responders Stipend per grant RSA 31:35-B, sections 2 through 4.
Second.
I think Kate won the leg race there. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. That is all. Anybody want to motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing at 7:09 PM.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, you still have to stay here. So here's what we're doing now. We're going to motion, or I'm going to reopen the normal public meeting for about the next 5 minutes. We have some time before we have to start the 7:15 on the budget and the warrant articles. I think, Trish, can you do an EOC update in 5 minutes?
Never mind. Never mind.
I don't know.
If you can't do it, then why don't we move on to something?
Yeah, do something quick.
Yeah, number
No
F.
pressure, no
F.
pressure.
F should be,
F, what's our F, assessment certificate?
yeah, we just need to sign it, so I think we just need a motion to sign.
All right,
This is a, for the ratio
study.
It's the equalization certificate, so. I move to have the Board of Selectmen sign the 2020 Equalization Municipal Assessment Data Certificate.
Second.
seconded by Larry, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 See, that was a quick one.
How about doing the land use change tax?
Yeah, let's talk about that one. So G, land use change tax. Should be in the meeting folder.
Oh, there we go.
So basically, these are two sites on Thornell that now have houses on them, so they're residential.
Yep,
So we're changing the use of the land, and now they pay the taxes on it.
Taking it out of current use, so this is the
Yeah,
current
right,
use penalty. Right, so they were tax exempt previously, and now they're being added back to the tax roll, right? This portion of the land.
Correct.
And I am good with that.
yeah, Lisa, if you have the wording handy there.
That's what I was looking for. I don't have a wording on this one.
I don't think there's a wording.
It's in the pink folder. There's a memo there from the, there you go.
Well, I have the memo, I just don't know what,
So you need the lot number,
The amount.
the amounts of,
Do you want to go from that?
well, that's what I'm looking at,
Yeah.
is that memo. It's not,
So let me try this. I will move to change the tax usage of 26 Thornell Road, which is 1.1 acres, 12-2-22-5. Do we need the value here?
Yep.
Well, at a value of $120,000, sold on June 23rd, 2020. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would like to move to change the land use, to make a land use change tax on the lot at 21 Thornell Road, which is
28.
28, sorry. 21 would have gotten a surprise in the mail. 28 Thornell Road, 1.1 acres, 12-2-22-4, valued at $120,000 and sold on June 23rd,
Second.
2020. Larry, was that you seconding?
Second, yeah.
Seconding. And further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So it's just those two, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I am going to ask for a motion to recess.
I move to recess the Selectmen's meeting at 7:13 PM.
Second.
Seconded by Larry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have like 2 minutes here. We can all watch the clock together. Get my stuff here.
Are you talking to me? In the back. My back table is copies.
Hey y'all, did I got on too late for whatever portion you wanted my input on?
I think you're early, is that Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're actually early and hopefully we'll be on.
Oh,
the-
okay, I thought I missed it. Okay.
Yeah, you weren't that lucky, let me put it that way.
All right.
Okay, you can open up the meeting.
All right, I'm going to open up the 7:15 public hearing. In this public hearing, and I'll read the notice. The Newton Board of Selectmen public hearing, date Monday, January 18th, 2021, time 7:15, location 2 Town Hall Road, and a Zoom audio conferencing. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, January 18th, beginning at 7:15, in accordance with RSA 32.5. Notice is hereby given to all residents of Newton, New Hampshire, that a public hearing for the purpose of gathering public input on the proposed 2021 town budget and warrant articles will be held on Monday, January 18th, 2021, at the Newton Town Hall, starting at 7:15 PM. Snow date was advertised, luckily we don't need it, as tomorrow, and public is encouraged to attend. We also had the Zoom conference information, which I don't think I need to read. If you're here, you've found that. So just to kind of update the public on what we're doing here is this is kind of the first step in town meeting, at least for an SB2 town like ours. So this is kind of the debut of the proposed or finalized proposed budget and warrant articles. We've had working meetings throughout the last, since November, with the budgets and the different articles. So this would be the debut. The board would be voting in this meeting. And then what would happen is, under RSA 32.5, we would then post this. We must post no later than the last Monday in January, which is the 25th. And then the deliberative session is scheduled for January 30th. So we're going to start with the warrant. I just have to pull it up, pardon me, while my computer thinks about it. Okay, so I'm just going to read through the warrant and get us to where where we need to go in terms of the voting on each one. So to the inhabitants of town of Newton, New Hampshire, and the county of Rockingham and said state, qualified to vote in town affairs, you are hereby notified to meet for the first session of the annual meeting, which will be for the explanation, discussion, and debate of each warrant article, and the transaction of all business other than voting by official ballot to be held at the Newton Town Hall on Saturday, January 30th, 2021 at 9 a.m. The second session to be held at the Newton Town Hall in said Newton on Tuesday, the 19th day. I'm going to stop there for a minute to say that this is a draft, okay? So later on tonight, we'll be talking about if any updates need to be made there.
Matt?
Yes.
Just a correction, it's the 9th, not the 19th.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that would be much too late. So the 9th day of March next at 8 o'clock in the forenoon to choose all necessary town officers for the ensuing year by the official ballot. Vote on all issues before the town of Newton on the official ballot. The polls to be open at 8 o'clock in the forenoon and to close not earlier than 8 o'clock in the evening. So the first warrant, as it usually is number 1, to elect all necessary town officers for the ensuing year, which, correct me if I'm wrong, the registration opens on the 20th, this Wednesday, closes on the 29th, right? So that will be updated accordingly based on what happens then. So number 2 on the warrant will be the proposed budget. So, 2, shall the town of Newton raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein totaling $3,693,448.00. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $3,678,940.00, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Newton or by law, that is basically explaining the default requirements, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40, 13, 10, and 16, right? To take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. So the estimated budget increase from the 2020 actual budget to the 2020 proposed budget represents a tax impact increase of 0.139 per $1,000 of assessed value. So any questions on this part of the warrant so far? So does anybody on the board want to make a motion to recommend this article?
I move to recommend Article 2.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Larry.
No, Charlie.
No, it was
Give it
Larry.
to Charlie, whatever.
We'll give it to you, Charlie, though, because Larry was first, but, okay, so seconded by Charlie. Any further discussion on this?
I just want to say that it is a little higher than last year. One of the reasons for that is that there are town properties that need some serious maintenance that cannot wait more than a year. So that has been added into the budget for this year.
Yeah, we also, if those of you were in the meeting Thursday, or go back and look at it online, we cut out a lot of those projects, except for, as Lisa said, the most important sort of, burning fires that have to be taken care of before they cost us even more. This is stuff we put off forever. So we were, I believe it calculated a 2.5% increase over last year.
Yep, just under.
Which, if you remember last year, I think we went up 7% from 2019 to 2020. So that was a huge jump last year. I actually voted against it last year. I didn't think the town was going to be able to accept that, but they did. So we appreciate the town last year. So we didn't want to take an unnecessarily large jump. We'll be talking later in a warrant article. There are actually opportunities to, and it's number 4 on this list, to get some existing money to do some of these projects, but these are the projects that have to happen or they're going to just cost us more down the road. So, Annie Collier?
Did you close public comment or?
You can comment. Yep. Come to the mic. Yep.
I was wondering, I don't have a calculator with me, but I was wondering what,
Just leave it the way it was, please. Don't touch.
what?
Just leave it. It's fine.
Okay. I was wondering, I see a bunch of salary increases. I was wondering what percentage was used on these?
For each salary?
Or is there an average or?
Yeah, I don't know if we could really say an average. Each, it was candidate-based, well, employee-based. There wasn't across-the-board raises for.
We can at least say the median was 2.5%.
Yeah.
2.5%.
That was the median.
Okay. I'd just like to make a comment that in the school system, because of COVID, there was a tremendous awareness of how hard it's been on people. And the increases there are like 1.5%. And people, and deferring it for another year, and just trying to cooperate with the community on that. It's been tough for people. And I'd also like to know what the properties are that need maintenance, if you could be more specific on that, Lisa.
Town Hall is one of the properties.
Doing what?
The floor in the tax collector's office, the library roof needs to be repaired.
The Marshall House roof needs to be repaired. Marshall House.
The Marshall House roof needs to be repaired. There was a leak in there, caused some interior damage as well. The steps to the Selectmen's office needs to be repaired. So those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
Police department, ADA counter.
Yes, so police department, it needs to have the counter renovated to be ADA compliant. So that was another one that we felt was something to be addressed right away as well.
Yeah, and I would say with the raises, these were a lot of raises which had been deferred already. So a lot of folks, it's been a couple of years since they've gotten
that's
the raise.
important information.
Yeah, and obviously, it's personnel based. We can't really share every detail about who, but it wasn't. People should understand it wasn't any sort of across the board raise hike. And we understand what you're saying. It's been a tough year for a lot of people, but this is what we're proposing.
Well, I'm sure you're all very aware of that. Also, I'd like to make a comment that one of the things Newton has is a lot of deferred maintenance, so it's not too surprising that there's some needs at this point. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody want to make?
I'll move 3. Oh, you need a motion on 2?
Yeah.
We had a motion in a second on 2.
On 2? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in the comment part.
Yes.
All right. So I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Did we make sure no public on Zoom had any comments?
Yeah, let me just, before we get there, since we did call a vote, Kate, you were an aye?
Yes.
And Charlie was an aye?
Yep.
Okay, we had 3 ayes in the room. Any public comment on the Zoom? Because we really didn't ask that. Diane, are you doing the hand raise thing in the Zoom, or how should we ask people to?
Oh, I don't see anybody in chat, and nobody's raised their hand.
Perfect, okay. So with that, I'd like to move on to Article 3.
Need to recommend or not recommend the article?
Yeah, that's what my motion was.
All right, well, usually you use that wording so that it's clear.
I thought I did.
Yeah, I thought you did too. I could be wrong, but
When we started this whole conversation with this article, I moved to recommend.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
all right, so number 3, I'll read it. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,200 to be deposited into the Engineering and Renovation Capital Reserve Fund created in 2015. Said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. This represents the rental fees, received So it looks like we might need an edit here on this one. It just ends at, this represents the rental fees received. In the past, haven't we identified where those are received from?
Yeah, I think it's at 8 Merrimack Road, right?
So, which isn't a big
It's
deal.
the rental fees that we've collected that get deposited into that
Well, I
revenue.
know what they are, but I think in the past, for people, we've identified where they're coming from.
You mean
The address.
to,
Yep. So at any rate, we can make that change, but as Nancy just said, as many people know, this is several years we've had this one. We do have a renter, kind of a inherited renter at 8 Merrimack Road. It's a business, so the rental fees we get from them, in order to be able to use that, as I say, this is always kind of a banking move here on Article 3. So this, we need the town as the legislative body's permission to move this money to be used. So,
I'll make a motion to recommend this article, number 3.
Second.
okay, any questions on this from the public or anybody else? Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kate?
There we go. Aye. And you didn't read the part that would result in no increase in the amount of raise by town.
Oh, thank you, yeah. So again, this is moving money, so this is not asking the public for any new tax dollars. Thank you.
I'm an aye.
All right, so number 4, this is what I was alluding to earlier. So to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000 to be deposited into the town buildings capital reserve fund created in 2006. Said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance with no amount to be raised from taxation. This sum represents part of the proceeds from the sale of the old fire station at 35 South Main Street. This amount would result in no increase in the amount to be raised in taxes. So basically, what I was alluding to before is, a lot of us had talked about, once we're able to move into the new fire station, sell the old fire station, we could use the proceeds to invest in some of the buildings, some of these projects we're talking about. So,
A question. Was the original warrant article, I forget what year it was, 17 or 16, whatever, was the sale, the money from that sale, was that supposed to offset the bond?
It couldn't be part of the warrant article itself. It's not allowed.
I don't think you
couldn't
can
be.
pay off the bond either.
No, not pay off, no.
No, but you can't pay extra. You have to stay with your payment schedule.
Okay, so there was nothing in that warrant article, okay.
no. So with the town's permission, we'd move this money out of the fund balance, put it in this fund where the selectmen are the agent, the Board of Selectmen are the agent, so we'd be able to use this money for these projects that might happen, and hopefully it would be available to us for many years to come. So that might end up in a surplus on the budget for next year based on what we just talked about with those projects. So if this successfully passes.
So if this warrant article passes, then the funds that were set aside in the budget and the budget passes, then what was allocated in that budget would not get spent from the budget, it would get spent from the fund.
Correct.
All right, so any comments, questions on this one? It's like Jim Baker's coming to the podium.
Yeah, Jim Baker, Newton. Is there some way, Lisa, to put that information in the warrant, that if this passes, then...
It will be in our voter's guide.
Okay, all right, thank you.
There are some things you are not allowed to put into an article, so that's why we will include it in the voter's guide this year.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, anybody online, any questions? All right, I will call for a vote to recommend on this. Anyone?
I move to recommend warrant Article 4.
Aye, second.
Seconded by Larry. Discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
And Charlie's a no. Charlie, did you want to talk a little bit about that?
I think that money should go back to the taxpayers. That's all.
Okay.
It's what we all believed in the beginning. But it doesn't matter.
Okay.
In a sense, if we had the problem at the end of this year, we needed to increase the budget for things we had to do. This will provide funds, so hopefully next year we don't have to increase our budget, which would also save taxpayers money on that end.
Yeah, the money's not being taken
That's how
away.
I see it, kind of.
Yeah, the money is, just so everybody understands, we're not taking money away from the taxpayers. We're still using it for taxpayers'
Its
projects.
purpose.
As Kate said, ideally, that's going to end up with a budget surplus if this successfully passes. So I have 4-1 to recommend
Yep.
on that one. Okay.
Yep.
And okay, so number 5, to see if the town will vote to name the Board of Selectmen as agents to the Gale Library Building Capital Reserve Fund established in 1982 and renamed in 1998. This article would result in no increase in the amount to be raised by taxes. So Nancy, can you just talk a little bit about this? This is another banking administrative.
Yeah, this capital reserve was established, the agents were never named. And with the repairs that we need, we thought maybe, this fund could be used for the Gale Library roof that needs to be replaced, the new furnace that they need to do soon. And currently, there's $162,000 in that account, probably more. We haven't got the year-end figures yet, but just to save the taxpayers, we're trying to find funds that we can use to help repair our buildings.
I would also like to point out that currently, what we mean by there are no agents, that means there are taxpayer monies in this fund, this capital reserve fund, with no board or other agent who is allowed to expend from it. So that money will sit there in perpetuity unless somebody is named as an agent or some other town vote is used to take action with that fund.
All right, so any other, any questions, comments from the public? So I'd like to ask if anybody has a...
I will move to recommend warrant Article 5 as written.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Kate, are you an aye?
Aye.
All right, so I have 5 to recommend on number 5. I'd like to move on to number 6. See if the town will vote to increase the veterans tax credit to $750 as provided in a recent amendment to RSA 7228. If adopted, this will increase the credit from its current $500 to $750. That will be available to any resident who is eligible for the standard or optional veterans tax credit or the all veterans tax credit as previously voted by the town of Newton under RSA 7228 and RSA 7228-B. This article would result in no increase in the amount to be raised by taxes. That is not correct.
Right.
Right. Because it's a $46,000 increase.
Yeah.
It comes directly off the tax bill from the residents.
Yeah.
So DRA reviewed it and agreed.
Okay. So this is one of those things, it's DRA approved language, but it is not entirely correct because it would be redispersed amongst tax payers who are not eligible, right? Under the
right.
That's essentially. So if you remove the whatever veterans we have here, 100 veterans, it would be dispersed. So that's probably why DRA is not recommending a number there. So
Yeah, we're not raising and appropriating money.
yeah. So for those who don't remember the background on this, so this was an RSA. Folks up at Concord passed, I think it was about 5 years ago, and then each town had to vote to accept it. we are eligible to offer a tax credit up to $750 as currently in the RSA. So this was a recommendation from a few residents to move from 500 up to the ceiling for our veterans to be eligible for this. You know, it's entirely possible the state legislature could increase this over the next few years if they vote to do so, but we'd be at the ceiling now. So people who either previously were eligible or apply for eligibility this time would be now able to get $750 off their tax bill. So any questions, comments on this one?
Just a motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
so Charlie's a motion to recommend number 6 with a second by Larry. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I guess what we need to think about is in a voter's guide, we probably need to explain this according to what the you know, what DRA.
Yeah, but the important thing to know is you're not going to know actual amounts because you don't know which property owners are going to be veterans and requesting that veterans credit. And that's one of the reasons why you can't have it on the warrant article.
Yeah.
We don't know how many veterans will own property in 2021.
Yeah, and I guess that's all I'm saying is we kind of explain that a little bit because we'll be asked that, I think. So number 7 is to see if the town will vote as proposed by the Board of Selectmen to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 for the purpose of holding a hazardous waste day for Newton residents only, with $25,000 to come from the transfer station recycling special revenue fund created in 2003 for this purpose. This article would result in no increase in the amount to be raised by taxes because we would be drawing from that special revenue fund. Again, this is a every other year program. So this would be a vote to approve it for this.
Make a motion to approve. Recommend.
Second.
All right, so Larry's recommending, Charlie's seconding. Any further discussion, comments? Looks like Annie, you have one?
It's my understanding that with the difficulty in disposing of recyclables, that this trust fund or recycling special revenue fund is kind of headed downhill. So I wondered where it is now and what the likelihood is of anything to offset it in the future. Has that been explored?
Well, do you remember the,
Currently, I believe it's around 208,000 in there.
I'm sorry?
208,000.
208,000
yeah,
that was added to this revenue fund?
No, that's in the revenue
That's the
fund.
balance.
it's the balance. So you are correct in that we don't have this flow of money coming from recycling. So if you ask me in 2021, one of the things we need to talk about is what our plan is going forward in terms of recycling and anything like this. We did add, voters will remember, we added the free day or whatever, the voucher program. Used to be every other year, and we made it every single year.
The voters made it every single year.
Well, that's what I mean by we. So we did that by a vote of the town, and you know that's something that was never really planned for, and now with the recycling thing. So 2021 needs to be a kind of decision time on this. So
Okay, thank you.
thanks. All right.
Well, Matt, we do need to rethink what we take on them days, on the card. Meaning, like, we shouldn't be taking truck tires and car tires and stuff like that. People are coming in with 20 and 30 tires at a time, and you don't gather them up in a year.
You're talking the voucher day?
Yes, I'm talking.
Yeah.
We need to address that.
Yeah. So we should that. And I shouldn't say it's a voucher day, right? I've got my terminology wrong. It's a voucher you can use any day, so.
Yeah, it's a bulk items.
Yeah.
Matt, we
Diane.
have a question from Jamie Fitzpatrick. Is there any revenue still coming into this reserve fund?
Yes.
there is some, it's not truckloads, but can you guys just refresh my memory on what they are? It's money for people who don't have the voucher, right? That's part
Yeah,
of it.
well, it's the bulky items that they're bringing in, like construction debris, or, they can do their truckload up to a certain point, and the guys down there price out what they owe. They bring in a TV and, different things. I don't have the list in front of me, but they get charged. Couches,
You're talking voucher day, and we're talking about hazardous waste day, though.
Well, basically, what the question was for that special, I always get the terminology wrong, but that $208,000, what is feeding that right now? And it's feeding whatever people is getting fed by what people have to pay for that they bring in.
Right. Now, I know we don't...
Matt, by 4 towns. By 4 towns.
I know we don't get revenue from cardboard anymore, right?
We get it from scrap metal.
Do we get any revenue for commingle or scrap metal or?
Yes.
Metal is free, I
Oh,
believe.
we get good money.
No.
Commingled.
When we take the metal for free, but when we recycle that metal, when the transfer station recycles it, does the town get money from whoever takes the metal from
Hope
us?
so.
Yes, they do.
So,
It's not a lot of money anymore because the price is down.
right, but we're
The
still
price
getting
fluctuates
some
on
revenue
that.
from it, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, we are receiving some revenue.
Yeah, like I said, the simple answer is there is some revenue coming in. It's not like it was before.
And for the voting guide, I will see what those numbers are so that
Yeah,
we can
should
include it.
spell it out. Yeah. All right, so we.
I think, Mr. Fitzpatrick, did you want to say something? If you do, you're on mute. And your hand is up?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
No, you got my question that I wanted answered, so I'm good, and I would appreciate seeing it in the voter guide. Then we'd at least know what's coming in to balance against. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, so we had a vote of that, and we voted to recommend 5-0, right?
Yep.
Okay, so number 8 would be to see if the town will vote as proposed by the Board of Selectmen to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 for the purpose of repairing the tractor, with the $5,000 to come from the Transfer Station Recycling Special Revenue Fund created in 2003 for this purpose. This article would result in no increase in the amount to be raised by taxes. So this would essentially feed a repair account to maintain the tractor that they have at the transfer station, which is used for many purposes over there, but one of which is to reduce the, or not reduce, but to compact some of those what's the word I'm looking for?
Dumpsters.
Dumpsters
I'll
before
make
they
a
go
motion to
out.
recommend Article 8.
Any seconds on that?
I will
Second.
second.
Seconded by Lisa. Any questions, comments from anyone?
And I see it as more of maintenance than repair. It's not like it's broken,
Yeah.
just to clarify that.
Wear and tear, I guess is.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote to recommend. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, I think I heard all 5, so that's 5 to recommend. Number 9 is to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement to purchase 19 self-contained breathing apparatus, known as SCBAs, and all related equipment payable over a term of 5 years at a rate of $51,482.24 annually, and to raise the appropriate $51,482.24 for the first year's payment. The full cost of the 19 self-contained breathing apparatus is $243,793.25. The amount of the lease reflects the trade-in value of $25,000 on the 19 self-contained breathing apparatus being replaced. This agreement does contain an escape clause. Majority vote is required on this warrant article, and this article would result in an estimated 8 cents increase per 1,000 of assessed value to be raised by taxes. Chief, did you want to Chief El Cadino, any comments on this?
Good evening. I mentioned it last month when I brought this forward, this warrant article. The department has tried twice for a FEMA grant. This last time we made it in front of peer pressure, excuse me. That's what it feels like up here, big pressure. Made in front of peer review, and what they found and recommended was that the fire department has not come forward to the voters and asked for the funds first. So we put this warrant article forward. I've been saying it for the past couple of years. The manufacturer has, I don't want to say a life expectancy, but it has an expiration date on those bottles after 15 years. We are on year 15. So if this warrant article does not pass, we might have one more shot if FEMA comes out with a grant in the fall to get it. If not, that means we'll be in front for a special meeting to purchase it. If we purchase them, the manufacturer, so the town will not have to pay for the disposal of the outdated equipment, they will buy it off the town for the $25,000 for a trade-in.
Could you explain a little more what the SCBA is for the general public?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Foote.
You're
What
welcome.
it is they look like dye bottles that divers use to go in the water. Firefighters use them on the back for unhealthy atmospheres. We use them for CO calls, we use them for car fires, we use them for hazardous calls. The only time, and we have used them for medical calls to enter residents' homes. They are a piece of equipment that is required to be on the fire apparatus. So if they expire and they get removed off the fire apparatus, then we'll probably just end up with an ambulance in service until we can purchase them or get them.
All right, so essentially, for our folks, our members on the fire department, this is a very important life safety issue.
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 9.
I second.
Okay, seconded by Lisa. Any further discussion, questions? Looks like Annie might have a question.
I just wanted a clarification real quick. I'm in favor of it, but I just wanted to clarify. This is like the oxygen tank, the tubes, the mask, it's that whole
Apparatus.
kit, if you will, correct?
Yes, it is the entire package. It is the harness, the bottles, the hoses, the fittings, the masks.
Thank you.
Hi, Annie Collier. Chief, my question was also a clarification. I understand that you were saying that FEMA has money available to give if the voters approve this. And I wonder what percentage of the total cost might be expected from FEMA? Or is it up in the air? Or, can you give some more facts about that?
What it is FEMA, the funds for FEMA depend on what the government puts in. Okay, some years there's more funds than others. Every community in the United States can apply for a FEMA grant. They can apply for different things of the FEMA grant. First step is computer generated. They go through everybody's application. That's first step. Second step is peer review. Peer review is the ones that move it forward to accept and deny. When it comes to a FEMA grant, it is extremely difficult. I know personally of about 4 or 5 other communities in Rockingham County that went for an SCBA grant, and I believe only one received it, and they only did partial. They didn't do the entire department like what we need. Okay, the amounts I couldn't tell you. It all depends on what the government puts forward.
They don't offer it all the time either.
Right.
And they're saying you have to go to the town first. Yes, denied by us.
Their recommendation was, yes, to go to the town first and ask the town voters. It would help us out on the next step. And again, there is no guarantee that, again, we're competing with every fire department in the United States for funds.
All right, so we had looks like Jim Baker's got a question. We had a motion and a second, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I lose track very quickly, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Jim Baker, Newton. I just wanted to ask you, there were 19 of these that have been in service for 15 years roughly?
Correct.
Yeah, so you're asking to replace 19, and I just think people would like to know how that number 19 comes up. Are all 19 used in rotating basis, or what's the basis for that need?
Excellent question, thank you. Before my time, there was 19 SCBA's that went into the apparatus. Each apparatus for each seat has an SCBA. So if you take the tanker's got 2 seats, it has 2. One of the engines have 5 on them. The ambulance has 1, and so on and so on. That's where the 19 come in for the riding positions on all the town apparatus. And so depending on what apparatus is used, it has the SCBA on it. If it's going to be for the apparatus to meet NFPA standards and to be considered a fire apparatus, it has to have an SCBA in the riding positions.
So when people are running to jump on a truck, they're not running around grabbing equipment that's already there.
So Chief, what he's saying is the scuba, the SCBA apparatus is not employee specific, it's apparatus specific.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? No? All right, I'm going to call for a vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Kate?
Aye.
Aye. So that's 5 to recommend. Number 10 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate as proposed by the police chief the sum of $25,000 to be deposited into the police cruisers and equipment capital reserve fund created in 2020 for the purpose of maintenance, repairs, and purchase of cruisers and equipment. This article would result in an estimated 0.039 cents per 1,000 of assessed value to be raised by taxes. Chief Jewett, I don't know if you want to give us a quick little synopsis. This was passed by the voters, created and passed by the voters last year for the first time.
Yep. With this, like it says in the articles, it was created in 2020. This year's cruiser maintenance surpassed the budgeted amount that we had. We budget, I went over it by a few $100s. This account will allow for the equipment that we have now. We have an aging fleet. It's to offset some of the major issues that we have. With some of the cars, there's some repairs that, you can't always get them done as needed because some of it outweighs, the cost effective to do that. But with the purchase and cruisers and equipment, the equipment that we have in the cars, for years we've rolled it from one car to the next. So a lot of the equipment that we have is starting to age. I started here in 2002, and we still have some of that equipment from 2002 in the current cars, which we need to start phasing some of that equipment out. So that account would help offset that.
Yeah, I think the great thing about this approach is the options it creates in that we're not signing up to buy a brand new cruiser every year necessarily. If we can invest in existing cruisers and keep them on the road, we do that. If that's going to be good money after bad, the money can stay in this account and be invested in a new vehicle, new equipment. And I think this is a smarter use of town's funds to be applied to the right things, I think is my opinion.
So Charlie. Matt, so he would be able to carry that over at the end of the year?
Yes.
It's a capital reserve fund, so it does not expire.
Okay.
Yep, so that's a good question. If if for some strange reason you had no repairs or anything to worry about this year, that money would get carried over and be able to continually be applied as necessary. So.
And the point to make on here too is that it is not an insurance policy, but what it is designed to allow the taxpayers to save for what they know they're going to have to pay for and budget for it appropriately, so that instead of coming before the voters in 2 years and saying we need $100,000 for a cruiser and everything that goes in it, we're actually collecting the money at a much slower rate, so it doesn't hit the taxpayer's pocket quite so hard in any given year.
All right, any questions, especially while the chief's here? No? Anybody want to make a motion to recommend?
I move to recommend warrant Article 10 is written.
Second.
Seconded by Larry and Charlie. Why don't we give it to Larry? Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I counted 5, so that's unanimous. So number 11 is going to be to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,263.00 for the following community service programs: Area Home Care and Family Services, $3,800; Child Advocacy Center, $2,000; Drugs and Dangerous, $2,500; Haven, $3,050; NHSPCA, $750; Rockingham County Community Action, $5,000; Rockingham Nutrition Meals on Wheels, $2,927; Rockingham Nutrition Meals on Wheels Transportation, $1,600; Southern Rock Coalition for Healthy Youth, $4,936; the Vic Geary Center, $2,700; and Waypoint was previously known as the Child and Family Services for $1,000 even. Again, total $30,263. This article would result in an estimated 0.047 cent increase per thousand of assessed value to be raised by taxes. This is, we've seen this last few years, at least with all of these important community services, which helps a lot of people. Anything further anybody wants to add?
Yeah, I'll add a couple of things. One of the most important things is these are services that the town is required to provide, number one, several of them. So the police department uses these services, the welfare department uses these services, and for the town residents. That's what we're paying for. So these services have come up with the numbers that represent past history as to what they've been providing to us. And we can't spend it if we're not allowed to do so. All of these are the same ones that we've been approving every year, at least since I've been a selectman. So the resulting in an estimate 0.047 increase in taxes, that is from the base tax rate. If you were to consider the increase from your base last year and the increase from this year, you're talking about less than 1 cent per thousand. We'd probably be 0.00 something. So it's just whatever the little difference is between what was approved last year and what is being asked for this year. And there is a slight increase.
The police chief works with these programs a lot. Do you want to add something, Chief?
Yeah, I don't want to take up any more time. You know, this is probably the 4th or 5th year I've stood up here and talked about these different agencies. I guess the best way I can put it is, I mean, for all the viewers at home, I mean, yes, there's a lot of people in town that don't use these services, but there are a lot that do need them. I rely heavily on a lot of these services to help out your neighbors, to help out people in town. And listen, and I know it's money, but it's one of those things that it's good money doing the right things. These programs help out our community more than I think people think they do. So I'd appreciate the support on that one. Not going to go through the whole list, but looking at it, we use, I think we use every single one of them, more than, I don't have numbers to how many times we use each one, but those agencies are checking in with the PD on a regular basis, coming in and helping with community events and providing us stuff. So we definitely appreciate what they do for us.
So I'll make a motion to recommend Article 11.
Second.
Seconded by Lisa. Any further questions, discussion? All right, so I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Charlie and Kate in favor?
Aye. You hear me?
Charlie?
Yeah. He was there, was there.
See him. He's muted on, he's muted.
Might be muted,
Do you
Charlie.
see him, Diane?
I do.
You can see him, yeah, he's there.
That's why I seconded it.
There he is.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that is unanimous. So number 12, I think we only have 50 more of these to go. No, we have like 5 more. So 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate as proposed by the Recreation Commission, the sum of $4,500 for the recreational programs and trips for Newton senior citizens. This article would result in an estimated 0.007 increase per $1,000 of assessed value to be raised by taxes. Familiar article, I think, to most. These trips are widely attended. We usually sell out for all these trips. The Newton seniors appreciate it, and I think it's a little, not only do I think, most people I think understand this is a way to give back to folks who are paying a lot in taxes to the school, et cetera. And anything else anybody wants to?
And you didn't use this money last year, right, because of COVID?
So we didn't use it all.
So it went back into general funds?
Yeah, what they did was they did a COVID version, right? So they had the dinners at the fire station. People could come pick them up.
Which is a fraction of the cost?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Motion to approve.
What's that?
Motion to approve.
All right, so Charlie's
To recommend?
Second.
Yep.
I think he said, yeah, recommend, and Larry's the second. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I think that was all 5.
Yep.
Number 13 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate as proposed by the Recreation Commission, the sum of $16,500 to hire 4 part-time lifeguards, 1 part-time supervisor of lifeguards, and to purchase necessary safety equipment to oversee the safety of all swimmers at the town beach between May 2021 and September 2021. Article would result in an estimated 0.026 increase per 1,000 of assessed value to be raised by taxes. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. I think it ticked up just a bit this year to support the management of the program, which is important. Fed, good luck with this. I think it's been approved the last 3 years. We were able to implement it the last 2 years, and especially last summer with COVID-19, the lifeguards, God bless them, they ended up becoming a very important element to people enjoying the lake over there. So
I move to recommend warrant article 13.
Second.
Okay, we'll give it to Charlie. Charlie's been trying for a while. All right, any further questions, discussion? Diane.
Mr. Fitzpatrick has his hand up.
Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question. We've seen this on the warrants before, and it's been approved before. Does that just roll into the budget so that there's a baseline in the budget and this warrant is over and above the baseline in the budget? Or does this have to come up every single year as a warrant in order to continue the program?
So I guess the short answer is it doesn't have to come onto the warrant every year, but one of the reasons we've been proposing it every year is because it's one of those things which a small portion of the town gets usage out of. So we usually put it in there to make sure we still have the support of the town to do it. So we could put it in the budget line item but then, if the budget fails for some reason, then we wouldn't have lifeguards. So here the town is able to address it directly, if that makes sense.
It does. It's good to clarify that
Sure.
each year is not just an additional group of lifeguards to, grow to a level of 20, 30 lifeguards or something.
Right.
It's just renewing the program that you've had previously. It's not cumulative each year.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
And the voter's guide will have it phrased similar to that statement.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 4 heads. That doesn't change. So thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. All right. Did I call for this vote yet? No? All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Kate and Charlie were ayes, so that's unanimous. We're getting closer. Number 14 is a petitioned warrant article. So on a petition of 25 or more legal voters, see if the town will vote to establish a skateboard park expendable trust fund for the purpose of repairing, constructing, reconstructing, and maintaining the skateboard park located in Greenie Park, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be deposited into this fund, and to name the Board of Selectmen as the agents of the fund. This article would result in an estimated .016 increase per 1,000 of assessed value to be raised by taxes. So I don't think the resident's on, is he?
I don't think so.
Paul? No? So I'll just give you, again, it was a petitioned warrant article. I think he ended up getting 35 against the 25 required legal voter signatures. Basically, if anybody's been over there, the skate park is in disrepair. It's been hard to do anything with that. So this is a resident who's putting together kind of a community organization to raise money to help repair the skateboard park, but he's looking to establish a fund with money from the voters this year to start things off. And, I've never used the skateboard park. I go by there all the time, but I think it's something that is important to certain kids in the town. And I myself think this is a good investment, and I look forward to hearing what this group can raise for funds to help with it. So
I'll make a motion to recommend 14.
Matt, wait a minute. Matt, he's also looking at grant money too as well to help out.
Good point.
That's why he needs the fund to start off with.
Yep, good point, Charlie. So there's grants out there, so.
Right.
I also want to say that I know people approved the funds for the playground area last year, which was very greatly appreciated. So we now have a new playground, which really makes the skateboard park look even worse. Plus the fact that when they did the playground, the initial intent was to try to redo the park, all the areas, and rather than having it done all in 1 year, they did drop the scope down to just the playground with the hopes of being able to address the other areas in the following years. And that's what this is as well. It's just addressing the next area of the park that really needs to be updated and made more safe.
Move to vote.
All right, so Charlie's moved to approve, and is there a second?
Or recommend?
Or recommend, sorry. Recommend, is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Lisa. Any further questions, discussion? Annie's coming up.
Hi, Annie Collier. A number of years ago when I was on rec, we were looking at the skate park. It was in pretty bad repair at that time. And even so, when we talked to some of the kids and young adults who were using it, there were like 80 people a month who were there. I'm sure here in COVID times and stuff, it would also be something that people would be using as an outlet, a healthy outlet for exercise and activity. And back before the playground was redone, swings actually went over the skate park, and skates could escape and could knock somebody in the teeth. And I mean, there's all kinds of things that have improved so that it's going to be safer. but safer if it's properly maintained. And I hope that a grant comes through for it because it's a really important thing for the kids and the young adults in town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kate?
Sorry, my mute. Heartily aye.
Heartily. I don't know if that gets 6-0 on that. All right, so number 15, on a petition of 25, another petitioned one, of 25 or more legal voters, shall the town of Newton vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to support the Lake Host program at the Newton Town Boat Ramp for the 2021 summer season. The Lake Host program is a collaboration effort between New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, New Hampshire Lakes, and local lake associations. It trains and employs individuals to provide courtesy boat inspections to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive plants such as milfoil from one lake to another, thereby protecting public lake uses such as swimming, fishing, and boating. The article would result in an estimated 0.004 increase per 1,000 of assessed value to be raised by taxes. Is the resident, which I think is Pat, she's not on, is she? No?
No, but this is a program that was approved by the voters last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're just looking to essentially renew or continue the program this year as well. There are volunteers, there's no requirements, no, it's all voluntary for the inspections. And it was a big success last year, which was its debut in Newton. And I'd really like to see us continue with this program.
Matt, the big thing it does is it protects our water.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that milfoil and stuff like that is pretty scary.
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 15.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Lisa.
Kate had her
And we have
hand up.
discussion. Jim's.
Kate had her hand up.
Kate had her hand up.
Well, I was
Jim,
gonna
as you
second
make your
what you
walk,
were saying,
Kate, go ahead.
Which is, it protects our water, and we're one of the few lakes in this area that does not have these invasives yet. And if we get them, would be very bad. So to me, it's incredibly important for our quality of life and all that is good in Newton to pass this. So I'm heartily in favor again.
Great, thank you. Jim Baker?
I've been asked to give a little additional information about this by the Lake Association. And in Newton, all the waterfront properties have an additional assessment on their tax card. If you look at a property on the lake, you'll see the assessment for the building, for the lot, and then there's an additional assessment for the waterfront. And it averages about $20,400 per property. There's 70 properties on the lake, and the total assessment, including the waterfront, is $24,888,000 for all the 70 properties on the lake. So this is asking for $2,500. It's also, if this is funded, it's a matching grant that goes with it. The New Hampshire Lakes Association will kick in another $2,500. So this gives them 500 hours where they have people at the launching ramp inspecting boats and making sure that these invasive weeds don't get into the lake. And obviously it's a resource for the town that we want to preserve. So that's a little bit of background on, the financial side of it.
So Jim, can you confirm that the Lake Coast program, they've also gone to Kingston again this year?
Yes.
To request funds, so it's not even like they're asking Newton for all of it. They're going to both communities that share the lake to kind of like split the cost of the program.
Yeah, because the lake, both towns share the lake, but the launching ramp is in Newton. And these, people put together a good program. They get trained on how to do this, and they do get paid $10 an hour. Big bucks, right? To sit there and inspect the boats, and
they get shirts too. I think.
Yeah, they do. They do a good job. So it's value to the town to have those people doing that.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so any other comments, questions? And I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that was all 5, so 5-0. That brings us to the end of the warrant. So this warrant is given under our hands and sealed this 18th day of January in the year of our Lord 2021. All the members of the board, myself, Lawrence B. Foote, Lisa L. Gagne, Catherine Michaels, Charles L. R. Melvin Sr., the Board of Selectmen. Do I make a motion to sign?
Once I update it, yes, you definitely need to sign, so you can do that.
So anybody want to make a motion for us to come back in and...
And you are updating it with?
Tomorrow, I have to update the votes.
Okay. So I move to authorize the selectmen to sign the final copy of the 2021 warrant.
Second.
Seconded by Larry. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so Nancy will tell us when it's ready for us to come in. All right, so I'm going to look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved at 8:18 p.m.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, still can't leave. So now I'm going to call the regular selectmen's meeting out of recess to try and finish up very quickly the last couple of items we have. So if everybody's okay with it, the first thing I'm going to talk about is deliberative session and polling location. Since we have so many people on here for that, I'd like to throw this out really quick and people can attack my idea. Because of COVID restrictions, what I would like to propose is that we hold the deliberative session per the norm in this room on that Saturday morning. We will have, the room can support social distanced 30 people. We would have the option of people can obviously watch it on cable TV, as you know they've done year after year. They would be able to go on to Zoom. They'd be able to ask questions and stuff. The only thing we would be questioning would be whether they can vote via Zoom. I don't believe they can. So voting would require people to be in the room. We would have to make that clear. If for some reason we had more than 30 people attending, we've talked about using the parking lot as overflow. People can stay in their cars. We'd have speakers so they can hear. And then we'd probably just ask somebody if there is some sort of vote where we need counting. Somebody could go out there and kind of take a head count. The fact of the matter is, most years, people can correct me if I'm wrong, we do not have more than 30 people in this room for deliberative unless there's something really drawing people out. So that's my idea, and I'll tell you the reasoning is if we move it, we will not be able to use cable. So if now we're not on cable TV, I think that's going to draw more people out because they won't be able to watch it per their usual thing on cable TV. So if we were at the fire station or the school, and by the way, we cannot use the high school because that's in a different town from what I'm being told. So we'd have to use the Newton School. So we would not have cable TV available if we left this room. So like I said, that's my idea. What's everybody else thinking?
I'm with you, Matt.
Okay, there's one.
I would like to hear what our town moderator thinks.
I think he's still on. Mr. Dismelik, are you still there?
He's muted.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Sorry, my apologies. I stepped away for a second, so I missed the first of that. But I think if I caught all of it, the idea you're saying you think it's better to try to do the deliberative session in town hall because we're going to be expecting a fairly small crowd.
Yep.
Okay, that's probably a reasonable strategy and a good strategy as long as you feel you can safely distance everybody that normally shows up. And I think that's probably true, although we ran into a problem, if you recall, in our last deliberative session where there were people who wanted to get in and were not allowed in, which is something that should never happen. So you have to be prepared to make sure that whoever wants to get in can get in, or you're going to have to open the back door or something so that they can participate. As a minor update, it was my impression until quite recently that meetings had to be in town. It is true, and I think they should stay in town. I'm not suggesting this, but my understanding of the law now is that it is possible, not for the election, I don't think, but it is possible for a deliberative session to be located in an adjacent town in some kind of semi-emergency situation. In other words, if you don't have a building, that can hold the people, then you can, go across the border, as it were, to borrow a building. So I would not encourage that, because I think that's going to have the same problem. If we're concerned about moving to the fire station for the deliberative session as being an issue, then moving to the high school is a bigger issue, or moving to any other school is a bigger issue. Yeah. Because we have, we have the same problem there, right? People are not going to go, they're not going to know. So if you think you can manage the number of people safely, and maybe open some of the windows so there's plenty of ventilation, then I think you could make it work in town hall. Or I'm going to say more accurately, Trish will make it work in town hall, because as I don't know if it's generally known, but I have appointed Trish to be covering for me on the meeting on the 30th, because I'm unfortunately going to be in Kansas City, Missouri at that time, working on a trial that the federal court scheduled. I can't really get out of it. So, but I'm sure Trish will do just fine. I think the only question is keeping people spaced safely apart, like you're doing tonight, making, ensure that the people who do want to come can come, and that we don't run into a problem where, I think the only problem case you would run into is what are you going to do if there's more people than can fit with safe spacing? Then you're going to have to improvise something like, I don't know, a lot of people stand in the parking lot and, there's a speaker out there, or they have to be able to participate. And that would be my only, thing to make sure that's going to be the case.
All right.
Could we pick up a couple of them amp exchanges to put in, the portable ones like the school's getting?
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
We can just open the windows. I mean, yeah. That would, that will, I mean, the more air, the better, particularly if people are talking. So opening the windows is a good idea. How many people can be safely located now? I can only see the sort of front of the room, the way the chairs are set up.
The magic number is 30.
30, okay. Well, that might be enough. What do we? Does anyone recall roughly the count from the last year's meeting?
Mary Jo's waving at me. I think we're at like 20 people.
Okay, any given year, we have 30-plus people in this room for a deliberative session. In those 30 we can fit here, 12 of them at least are us.
Right.
So that leaves 17, 18, 19 the most that you're going to stick in here for people that will be here. You'll be here, you'll be here, you'll be here, you'll be here, you'll be here. So there's this many more. Just remember, there's a lot of us. Where are you going to sit us all? Us, not the people here, but you have all of you. You have the supervisors. You have me, Cheryl, Nancy, Diane, and then the other people.
Now, this is deliberative.
Deliberative?
Okay. So the ones that actually have to physically be here in person is one thing. Those who you want to participate but don't have to be here physically in person, we can have participate in Zoom, such as department heads.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
The whole Zoom thing, did you run this by council?
So
there were stipulations with Zoom. I didn't understand them all. I just want to make sure. I was told to ask town council. I don't do that because I never get an answer. So I don't waste the town's money asking anything.
I think what my proposal is, Zoom is just an added, way to hear, not to vote.
Right.
If we're all of a sudden letting people vote by Zoom, I think the horse is like
that can't happen anyway.
Exactly.
That can't happen.
So
I just want you to understand what you're leaving room for.
Right.
And you do have to separate all us workers that are in here. I have no issues other than that. Just consider the amount of people.
Thank you.
And what you're going to do with the rest of them.
If I could, Matt, if I may comment on that.
Go ahead.
It does make sense potentially if you and again I haven't read double check the law on this, but I think really the only people that have to be present are voters that want to be present, the clerk, I think, and the moderator, or the moderator pro tem.
And the supervisor of the checklist.
And enough supervisors of the checklist, right, to do, I don't know how many, Julie, I don't know how many are.
I really only need one of us.
One, maybe, right? Because you don't have to have a quorum, you only need to have somebody to do check-in.
Literally just checking, yeah. Make sure
Right,
that
so
voters.
I hate to say it, but if we're trying to cut down the number of people, and we're not expecting much real voting or anything at the deliberative session, in other words, I'm assuming, based from the warrant, it didn't look like there's going to be a lot of controversy or a lot of amendment, that if there was a capacity issue, the selectmen could duck out and watch on Zoom from downstairs or something. In other words, just to solve that capacity issue. It's not,
Bob just said we didn't have to go. That's what I heard. Yeah, I mean, my thing is I wouldn't want to disenfranchise anyone. I wouldn't want to make a statement that basically said, you know, if somebody wants to come and they want to, you know, be part of the deliberative and vote, absolutely, they should be able to come. I don't want to tell anybody they can't come, but if you think you're just going to be here to kind of listen, you can do that at home, obviously. So.
And the voting is only if somebody proposes any change to one of the written warrant articles. There may not even be any voting at deliberative session.
Right.
Diane was waving.
Mr. Fitzpatrick has his hand up.
Jamie.
Yeah, just a brainstorm. You could always do something whereby you have an overflow at the fire station also, where you could have somebody in the checklist there that gives a count, and then they could send the count over. I don't think that you're going to run into that. I don't think you're going to get over the number of people that you're talking about, but that would at least give you some other option. If you go with just the parking lot and you get into any kind of weather situation or what have you, that could be problematic. So just a thought.
Yeah, that's an option. I do know, and I think Trish has a question, I do know, you know, we have a built-in weather backup day. So hopefully it'd be a 70-degree day in the parking lot, but if it wasn't, if we had snow, we could, you know, push it out. Trish?
So this is, and this may help, and our moderator probably knows because they sent it to us, but I'm just going to put it out there for everyone. So the AG's office and MHMA gave us some additional guidance, and they said for those towns that do hold in-person deliberative or business sessions, NHA interprets the Emergency Order 74, which by the way has been extended to March 26th. It expired on the 15th of January. To apply to these meetings, and the persons attending these meetings who cannot consistently maintain a physical distance of at least 6 feet from persons outside their household must wear a mask or cloth face covering over their noses or mouths. Local officials should review NHMA guidance and Emergency Order 74. And again, it's been extended to March 26th. So yes, although we're talking 6 feet, we could make that less than 6 feet if everyone has their face coverings.
Good, thank you.
Matt, if I could also throw in a quick comment.
Go ahead.
If you want to have a second location, it's going to have voters in it. In other words, if the selectmen, I know you're voters, but you could reach a consensus amongst yourselves, for instance, to decamp from the main room and not participate in a voting sense. I mean, leave one selectman behind to answer questions. I mean, there's ways you could voluntarily as a group decide to reduce the number of people present. When it comes to voters, if there's a second location where voters will be, that's an acceptable thing to do, but it requires the following. We've done it before years ago in a school meeting. It requires a contemporaneous link like, Zoom plus audio between the two rooms. It requires another moderator there, which means we can appoint, in essence, another second moderator for that room. And that moderator in that room doesn't really do anything other than kind of report the results of, the ayes and the nays if there's a vote. It does require a supervisor of the checklist to check people in. And so it gets pretty complicated pretty quickly, but it can be done, right? And there's that sort of overflow space. You just have to make sure you have a working link, you know, like a bidirectional Zoom link. It doesn't have to be per person, it just be to the room. And we would appoint, somebody's going to have to step up to the plate and be the moderator in that room. But again, that moderator in the second room, you know, it's not like there's an independent debate going on, right? It's just, they're all watching the screen together. And when it comes time to be a vote, just give me a quick hypothetical just to make it very clear. If everybody, for some crazy reason, decided they wanted to have just a regular vote, that's the person who's going to say, yeah, over in this room, the ayes carried. Or if we count by, you know, if we're going to have a count vote, you know, there was 22 yes and 4 no. Or, for friend, because it almost never happens, if we ended up with a paper ballot because somebody requested it, they would be the person who does the count of that paper ballot and then reports the results back across the link to the main room. So it's doable. It's just one more set of things to worry about. But maybe having that as a backup plan is not a terrible idea. You know, just because, and it doesn't, any room would do, just has to be somewhere in town in a known location that people could get to if they got to the first place and can't get in.
And something I had proposed, and this would not be a requirement, this would not be on the posting at all, but if you're going to have a party at your house, you try to get a head count before the party so you can make sure everybody fits and you have enough food. Once we posted for January 30th, it's going to be here, could we send an email out through our email system to ask people if they are planning on attending to tell us if they're attending, so we could have a reasonable head count. So if we get a reasonable head count that tells us it's going to be 50 people, now we can start putting together the extra room. Just a thought.
Yeah. Have everybody's email in town?
Well, what happens is they have a registration thing on the website. So if Diane posts something on the website, it goes out however many hundreds of emails they've registered.
Yeah, you're not getting that done.
Right, but I mean, at least it's better than guessing.
And can you hear me?
Go ahead.
I think it should be very clear that is, if they wish to vote, should a vote even come up, then to sign it back. Other than that, they can participate by Zoom, so they know the distinction of why they would need to be available here or in the parking lot or whatever overflow space. And typically, how long has the deliberative usually lasted, you guys?
It can,
Howard?
it can go 5 hours.
Okay, so you're looking at an enclosed space. I know the research, I've been researching it from various places. People in varying types of masks and effectiveness, there have been some studies, for 5 hours. So to me, that is not an optimal situation. And I wouldn't want to go closer than 6 feet. People sometimes want to take off their mask to speak, etc. There's a new variant. It's really, I think we should try to be as safe as we can with this. I don't mind the parking, people who want to vote. I think the overflow parking lot, because, you know, most people can get a Zoom link on their phones. We can do a speaker. I think we should do everything in our power to make this as safe as possible.
Sure, I think people are in.
I would not
people are in agreement with that.
Because that's just not a good idea to be in one room for 5 hours, even with the window open. That's not going to do it.
So, and I'll, please God, right now, don't let this be 5 hours. But I think there are ways. Mr. Dismelik recommended we waive the reading and all that stuff. So, so what I'm going to do to kind of cut to the chase here, and Diane, I'll apologize in advance. I'll try to make this a motion that's clear and the board can vote on it. So I'm going to move on my idea, and I'd like to move that we hold the deliberative here at Town Hall with a plan for overflow in the parking lot. And we make it clear that if people are expecting they want to vote, they need to come in person. Otherwise, we will have cable TV and Zoom available for people to participate remotely.
Second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other discussion?
A couple of clarifications. Parking lot or other for example, just in case something, the parking lot doesn't work?
Parking lot myself.
I'm just saying, if we stick with parking lot, then we have no other overflow option?
Yeah, I'm sticking with the parking lot in my motion. I know it's been talked about, but that's where I'm sticking. So, any other discussion?
One more clarification. Participate makes it sound like they can vote.
Right.
I just want to make sure that we're clear that those who participate via Zoom would not be voting.
Diane, can you change it to listen and view?
Right.
View and listen? Sounds good to me.
Move the question.
You basically, all you're gonna do is you're just really making a motion to say to hold a deliberative session at the town hall. Do you need all this other stuff? This is just stuff that has to be done if you wanna do this. I guess I don't think it needs to be in your motion. What do you think, Nancy?
Here's what I want to do. I want to make sure we get the posting out on time, and I want to make sure when we leave this room, we know what we have to do. That's all I'm looking to, because we're not going to have another meeting before that, so.
Do they need to put all this in there, or they just have to say it's just gonna be at the town hall?
Well, I think it's clarity for the people so they understand. And if they have questions, they can call Matt. No.
I know, exactly. All right, any other questions? All right, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor, aye.
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 So the voting is gonna,
Kate, were you and I?
Yep.
Okay, so 5. Okay?
is the voting gonna be voting as well?
So that's the next topic. I'll let Jim and Annie leave, but this will hopefully be much faster. I think for the second part of town meeting, right? I thought the voting went excellent November 3rd at the fire station. I'd like to copy that exactly for, what is it, March 10th?
Ninth.
March 9th. Anybody have any issue with that?
No, I think it's really the best thing to do, especially
Fire
with the
chief?
COVID-19.
All right.
I just realized that's my 25th wedding anniversary, and we
Cancel.
have to go to Antigua.
Bring
are you
your
gonna go?
husband.
I'm like, so we're literally have to replan our entire frickin' 20 anniversary.
Why, Julie? You can designate a replacement for you on
Antigua.
election day.
That's,
I can, but one of my other supervisors is having surgery in the middle of February and won't be available.
oh, wow.
I still think you can.
Fault for not having it written in my calendar. So.
But you can still find people that can pro tem for you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Good point. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so if
Can we just move the entire day?
I know. If all those in favor of moving the entire day for Julie's vacation, say aye.
Aye.
Well, there's one.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks anyway.
Yeah, all right, so we just,
Did you get a second on your motion to?
Second, yeah.
I don't think it was a motion. So I threw it out to, what does everybody think?
Yeah, it's good.
It sounds like everybody's good.
Good.
Yeah, it worked really well at the fire station.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that we actually need a motion to hold it there.
No.
Well, you had a motion to hold the deliberative session at the town hall.
True, so I move to hold the March 9th let me rephrase. I move to set the polling location for the March 9 elections at the fire station.
On Merrimack Road.
Yes, at 8 Merrimack Road.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. So all of those who were just on, what's that?
I have a question.
Kate Michaels has a question.
I have
Go
a
ahead,
question.
Kate.
So I know last time it went beautifully and we had a lot of absentees, right? Because that was part of the emergency order with COVID. Do we people still have the ability to absentee due to COVID? So we keep,
Yes, it sounds like the Secretary of State is not going to roll
Oh,
back
good, so it
that.
will still be manageable numbers, great.
No, as of now, you can still, vote absentee based on a COVID situation. We'll still have the same, even outdoor,
Perfect.
I don't want to say emergency, but, the on-the-spot absentee for people that for some reason, are in that circumstance. So it should be basically the same procedure, almost exactly as a November 3rd election.
Okay, thank you.
Julie might have to absentee vote, so. All right, so we're leaving that topic. So anybody who was on just for that, you won't hurt our feelings if you want to drop off. We thank you for hanging in there with us tonight. And folks in the room too, if you need to leave, feel free to do so. And we're going to move on to EOC update with Trish, please, Trish. Yeah, sorry. I should have sold it better. You're not going to want to miss the EOC update.
I'm going to perform, you guys should stay. No, I'm only kidding.
Go ahead, Trish.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead. Can we get, you guys can leave,
Get the
but
hell out.
we still have a meeting going on.
Hello.
Thank you. Trish, go ahead.
Okay. I know I'm not as exciting as what we've been discussing.
True, yeah.
However, you never know. So I'm going to start out with our numbers. Persons in New Hampshire with COVID, 56,864. Persons recovered, 49,544. Deaths, unfortunately, 933. Current COVID cases, 6,387. Current hospitalizations, 243. As I mentioned earlier, the emergency order to do with public places and social distancing and so forth, that's emergency order 74, was extended till March 26, 2021. Our school district, no open cases since December 24th. Recovered, we have 11. One was at Middle, one at Bakey, 6 at the high school, 3 at Memorial. Department of Public Works is establishing a dashboard on the EOC website, so it's one more thing, another task we'll be doing. And it's to just make sure that our Public Works people, if we have a lot of towns that are losing their people to COVID because they're out or quarantined, that it's on our dashboard. So we did call Mike Pavero to let him know about this. We also obviously know we had the vaccine rollout. This has been horrific. A lot of conversations we've had, a lot of webinars. We've been tied up with making sure our first responders have been able to get their first injection. Some have, some haven't. It's daily. We're working on this. Some of the questions that came up, if our first responders roster was submitted, can others who now want it get it? Or should we resend? So this is something internal that the EOC has to do. Again, we've been working with both chiefs and directly with all the first responders. So we've got a handle on what's going on. We've had some issues, but we're working through it. And you probably hear some of it on the news. We also have, they talked about elections in March. They said, will there be more distribution of PPEs? The Secretary of State sent out some PPE for the elections. And the Newton EOC is prepared. We've got PPEs for the election, so we should be all set. Will there be more information for the citizens, how to get vaccinated? Yes, you've probably seen the phases. We've actually put it on our EMD page. So if you're not sure, go to the town website, go to emergency management, and you'll see the phases. We had a question. Will phase 1B people potentially be moved up to phase 1A? No. Everybody can't be first. They have to prioritize the people in all different groups. We have to make sure the people at most risk with direct contact get the vaccine first. We get these questions all the time. And those people, some people are calling the EOC line, some are calling us direct and emailing. Everybody can't be first, and that's what we're trying to explain. So we are fielding these calls. Another question was, will we be able to conduct town meeting this year? And obviously they're saying go to the NHMA website, and we've already discussed all of that. What is the first responder testing procedure? If you've had exposure, please go to one of the testing sites. They have to release the specimen to the public health lab, and Dr. Sconlin has to sign off on it. So if any first responders are out there, you have questions, call Larry or I, and we'll help you out with that. They're expediting tests, but again, we've got a heavy priority on people that have been tested, and now it all needs to be confirmed. I'm trying to scan through this. I know you don't want to hear it all. If an employee contracts COVID off the clock, how can we resolve this issue? And one thing we were told by Convenient MD is you can go to a different location if your location is busy. Again, we're taking those calls and we can tell you where you can go. There was a question, is there any testing for the new strain of COVID, the variant, occurring in New Hampshire? And the comment was, we have not had confirmation of the variant present in New Hampshire, although we are working with laboratories around the country to make sure that they are prepared should this happen to us. There was also questions, has there been any movement on looking into PPEs for the upcoming local elections? Again, I think I already covered that. Let me try to get through this. Clarity on the phases, where people fall. So you've probably seen it on the TV. Again, we've posted it on our website. Phase 1A continues with first responders, long-term health caretakers, sorry about that, and long-term residents. For those of you out there that might be admins that in a long care facility, you may be 1A, but you're on the lower spectrum of it. Again, it's all about priority. If you're a dispatcher, you're gonna wait. You don't have direct contact. 1B now includes residents 65 and older, in addition to significantly medically vulnerable people, or if under 16, and their caregivers. Staff and residents at intellectual and development disability facilities are also going to be in that phase. Scheduling for 1B opens, you probably all heard, January 22nd, with the appointment starting January 26th. Phase 2A includes kindergarten to 12 childcare staff. 2B includes residents 50 to 64 years of age. 3A includes medically vulnerable under 50 years old. 3B includes everyone else who is not already vaccinated. Again, go to our website. We try to keep it up. This is changing every day. We are learning something new every day, and we try to keep everything updated. And I guess that's it. The rest of the stuff I don't think you need to know.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for speeding through that too. So all right, so what's left on the agenda here is under other business.
Do you want to talk about the Marshall House?
Yes, so when last we left our story, we had voted, I believe it was up to $1,000 to just kind of Band-Aid cover the Marshall House roof.
Correct.
And your quote came back at something like $1,200, was it?
$1,200 for top to cover the entire roof, and for $4,500 to have it done. We can do it this quickly, he said.
Yeah.
45?
$4,500 to have it done.
Wouldn't it make sense just to do the 45? Because if we do 12 now and wait till April, we're going to pay the 45 anyway. So let's save the 1,200.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah. So anybody want to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion to get the Marshall House roof repaired at a price of $4,500, which I don't know the company, but
As
I'll
quoted.
second
that's
that.
the motion.
I have to agree with Larry. I was looking at it. That's 25% of the total cost to
You're
repair.
talking 3 months just to
And that's
top
just
it.
for a Band-Aid.
Yeah. I think it sounds like everybody agrees with you.
And they can do it now, or providing the weather stays good?
Yeah, he can do it. He said they can schedule it and get it done quickly.
Yay.
Good.
What are you gonna, Matt,
Yes.
what are you gonna do when they pull them shingles off and they find out that them boards are all rotted? Because if you look at the pictures, it looked like that roof was rotted too as well. And that, I know that's gonna be more money because you can't bang nails into rot.
Diane, did they look at the roof?
He went inside, but he did look, he was on the outside looking in. He probably went up on the roof, put a ladder up there and looked. That's
Well-
usually when he was at the fire station.
Well, I guess the answer is if he's going to come back to us. When you talk to him, if it's going to be more than 4,500, he needs to come back to us.
Yeah, I guess it's cross that bridge if or when we come to it.
Yeah, hopefully it's pristine in there, but, you know.
Well, the only problem is, Matt, he won't find out until he pulls the shingles off.
Yeah.
If he
And then Diane needs to get back to the board and we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that out, so.
No, it's a good point, because, I mean,
It looked to me.
you can't have a half measure, you know what I mean?
No.
All right, so did we call for a vote on this?
No, you didn't call it.
You moved,
I seconded,
you seconded.
and then we discussed.
We're all discussed now?
And I vote yes.
All right, so Charlie's voting yes, all others in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kate, you out there?
Yep, wait, am I muted? I'm there.
She's faint again.
I think it's
I'm
unanimous.
here. Aye.
Maybe. Lisa, did you want to do the manifest?
Oh, yeah, I have those too.
And anything else under other business?
Not at this time, no.
All right, so I will move to sign vendor manifest dated January 6, 2021 in the amount of $397.43.
Second.
You can't beat that price. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to sign vendor manifest dated January 18, 2021 in the amount of $33,974.98.
Second.
Seconded by Larry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to sign cable vendor manifest dated January 18, 2021 in the amount of $233.90.
Second.
All right, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I move to sign police special details vendor manifest dated January 18, 2021 in the amount of $1,177.20.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to sign payroll manifest for pay period January 2 through 16, 2021, with a pay date of January 21, 2021.
Second.
A lot of 21s. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And do we have announcements
You
tonight?
have to do the minutes here? No?
They're coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. Any announcements? No? Other than by the 25th, we'll have the warrant available on the website, posted according to RSA. And then on the 30th, the deliberative session. Voting is March 9th, as we've just talked about. So now we can move on to approval of minutes. So anybody want to do this?
Make a motion to accept the non-public and public meeting minutes dated January 5th and January 14, 2021 as written.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that Kate and Charlie were an aye, right?
So is this a review of
Yeah,
non-public?
I just have one amendment I want, and that's just to have something added to the minutes from 114.
Okay.
So it's right before,
I thought you left the building, you were packing stuff up.
It's called a walk-off.
No, my thing was scratching.
only to put the Selectmen Gonier stated in perspective. I want the, I don't remember who before me spoke, but I want that in place before I recommended putting 300,000 of the sale into the fund. There was an original recommendation to put the full amount into the fund, so I just want that in there in the minutes.
Okay, are you still good with that? Larry, you made the motion, right?
Yeah.
To approve the minutes with the changes. And Lisa, were you the second?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all still good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I don't believe anybody has any need to unseal any past minutes. Anyone have that?
No, we're not really looking at those minutes while we're going through COVID and trying to stay out of town hall.
Right. Okay, so anything else for the board tonight?
I do have to leave, so do you?
No.
I move to adjourn at 8:57 PM.
Second.
Seconded by Kate. Thank you, everybody.